by all means, use that possibility to intend, to put an intention in the current. When we see, oh, there is just the old habit, an old vasana, a pattern, a tendency that is there, that has power because I have been repeating it all the time. Everybody is essential and essentially and potentially divine. Everybody. We just have forgotten this. And then we identify with what is happening in this world, in this role that we are playing. And we have the tendency to put layer and layer and layer and layer on top of that. In some people, that essential divinity shines through easily. And in some people, the layers are so thick, it's not so obvious, but it's still there. Everybody is essentially and potentially divine. We don't have to attain that. We don't have to reach that. It's not an achievement, it's our birthright, it's our true nature. When we start to become more conscious, invariably we'll have to have a good look at ourselves. And then we become more aware how we are functioning. And in that becoming more aware, we are learning how those mechanisms are covering up that purity, that innocent purity that is there at the base. And in spite of not having the need to search for something that is far away, but it is here, it is now, we don't get around that job of polishing off the stuff that has accumulated. When we become more conscious, then we see certain traits are there, we can let them there. They don't bother us, they don't cover up that inherent innocent beauty. Whereas there are other traits that are simply obscuring that. And for that, we somehow have to take the trouble to look at them and learn to get rid of them. Recently, I was talking about this and said that we can then intend, when we see such a thing, intend that we detach from it. Still, it may go on. It depends how strong a tendency is. It may go on for a little time, maybe for a longer time. But if we are alert, every time it takes over again, then sooner or later we become aware. Aha, there it got me again. No need of regretting what has happened. Simply learn the lesson and see, okay, there is more work to do. And intend again that this is dissolving. And then somebody told me, but why all this intending? We just have to go with the flow of life. Life will teach us our lessons. And it's true, life is teaching our lessons, but we have to be open to that in order to learn them. Otherwise, we keep on repeating the same stories over and over and over. The person said, but life is doing everything. We don't have to do anything. Life is very patient. And actually, our capacity in a human form, with a human intelligence, we can intend, we can make those sankalpas. That's also part of life. That's also part of nature. There's absolutely not a contradiction that we are in the flow of life and also using our capacities. If we just say, okay, why should I do anything? Life will take care of everything. Then we may go on for a long time repeating the same stuff over and over. And those tendencies that invariably lead us into pain, that create suffering for ourselves, for others around, we are well advised to take care of those and learn in one way or another to get rid of it. There is no contradiction in doing so and being in the current of life. Of course, life is doing that. That's what we are here for. It's a continuous possibility. It's a continuous confrontation. We don't have to be full of tensions about it. That was most probably the misconception of that person, that making sankalpas, intending, is somehow contradictory to the flow of life because it causes tensions. We don't have to create tensions, but be clear. Aha, here I'm seeing clearly this kind of reaction, this kind of behavior, this kind of this way of talking to people is again unnecessarily creating tensions. If one is happy with how the life goes, a little joyousness, a little suffering, we can go on and say, okay, that's how it is. What I'm talking about is for people who are fed up with suffering, who come to the conclusion, hey, no, I need not suffer. It's not something natural. Of course, it is natural. Of course, it is invariably like this, that some situations are pleasant, some situations are unpleasant. That we like certain things and we don't like certain things. Nothing wrong with that. But we start to suffer because our disharmonious way of dealing with things that we don't like, that mental block, that mental resistance, not accepting the situation as it is, and then always trying to somehow bend the circumstances with a lot of force to the way that we like them. There we are creating tensions. If we flow with life from moment to moment, accepting what comes, and then give our positive creative input in the current, then we don't create tensions, we don't create suffering. Then even in unpleasant situations, we don't suffer. That doesn't mean we have to artificially learn to like them, No, if we don't like them, we don't like them. So what? They come, we deal with them, we let them go. And if we are decided, I don't want to create suffering anymore. I don't need it. It's unnatural. Then we can very well use that capacity to put our intention in the current. It's part of life. It's part of the human existence. It's part of the nature. There is absolutely no contradiction. All these philosophies, they say that we have absolutely no say in it. They are missing definitely one aspect, that creative beauty that is there, that is given along in this game. Consciousness manifest has its own creativity. That's part of the divine will. It's all within the divine will. Whatever happens within the creation is within the divine will. Yet part of that divine will is that consciousness manifest has its own creativity. That we have the possibility to use those capacities that we have in a human form. And one definitely is to consciously make sankalpas, to consciously put that intent in the current. I would recommend we do that just to remove things that creating troubles. If there is a desire for something, that's also an intent. That's okay if you are not getting attached to it, if you are not getting obsessive. But then there are certain schools who very much work with that you can manifest in your life whatever you want. And it's true, if we put enough intention in the current, then we may manifest all kinds of things. But then the danger is we get so absorbed in that we forget the main purpose for being here, to bring the attention back and become aware of our inherent divinity. But by all means, use that possibility to intend, to put an intention in the current. When we see, oh, there is just the old habit, an old vasana, a pattern, a tendency that is there, that has power because I have been repeating it all the time. And all the time it's creating pain, it's creating suffering. To intend that away is absolutely nothing wrong, but actually we are asked to do so. Even if somebody says, I'm learning my lessons from life, from the current of life, if one really learns the lessons automatically when something goes wrong because of my behavior, there is that, whether one is aware of it or not, there is that intention. Right, I could handle this in a much more creative and harmonious way, then it would not create all this pain, these tensions. Let's use all our abilities to remove those layers that we have created unconsciously. Let's consciously contribute to peel them off, that inherent divinity shines through more and more. Hmm.